Hey Dan, I know these episodes can be a bit taxing on the pants. How do you keep your pants up while we're recording the podcast?
Belt,
Oh, and how did you feel about Ghostbusters
belt,
1984? Oh, and how did you feel about busting and it makes you feel good?
good. Um, but you don't have a dick, or so I've heard.
Right,
I
right.
mean, that's what
Belt?
I've heard. Belt.
I don't have a belt.
So I've heard. So,
There's no belt on my pants. My
well, so
pants
I've
just
heard.
they fit. I have them tailored actually.
Oh, who's Taylor?
Oh, Blotner.
Oh,
I
Kanye
hardly
made
know
him
her.
famous, didn't he?
This is a disaster, and it just started. We're
Well,
46
busting,
seconds in.
makes me feel good. Like,
Does
what can I
it?
say? I'm sorry, it does. Like, look, I know it's a little controversial to say, especially in this day and age. I mean, yeah, I mean,
See, I don't know how
but
controversial it is because I've never
oh,
done it.
it's pretty controversial. You never, not even once.
No, not once.
So you don't even know. It makes you feel good, dude.
Does it?
Dude, like,
I've never ghost busted.
no, hey, Luna, what the hell are you doing over there in that corner, man? You freaking me out. You going? All right,
Make you feel
she's
good if you're
tweaking.
not careful.
I mean, she's like, oh, you see her tweaking there?
Oh, that's
She,
a cat.
that's a
Belt.
cat, dude. That's what I'm saying.
That's a
Yeah, but
belt.
busting, it's
That's a belt.
I mean, it's a busting ghost,
I mean, it's a belt.
right? Luna, dude, what are you doing, man?
Can you imagine somebody trying to watch this if they've never seen that meme before?
Yeah.
Can you imagine somebody trying to watch this?
You guys see my cat? She's tweaking, man. Let
Yeah.
me move my microphone a little
Oh,
bit.
she's hitting the
She's
semi-pro flag.
Yeah, no, she's trying to get onto my window. So hold on, I'll help you out, you little tweaker.
So
Back
I'll
about this
break this down for a
movie.
second. We thought in light of the new Ghostbusters movie, the new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, that we also would watch a Ghostbusters movie. So we watched the first Ghostbusters. It's great, but you already know that. We're gonna break down the plot here in just a few minutes.
Run away, fucking idiot.
Everyone has seen Ghostbusters. Like it's not something
This
that
cat's
that
about stupider than hell, man. But I don't know.
it's
What, you want to go outside now, man?
it's not something that people haven't seen. Like everyone has seen the first Ghostbusters movie. And so you probably know the plot. We're still gonna break it down. There's not a whole lot to say. I'm realizing like there's just not
So remind me again, how does busting make us feel?
bad.
Oh,
No, I
yeah.
was just saying like Ghostbuster. While talking over you, you have a mute button on your microphone and you
I don't
chose not to
care.
press it.
Of course not.
Um,
It's
um,
interesting. Hold on, I gotta close my blinds. Busting makes me bust.
no, like there's this level. Like this movie is so popular. Everyone has seen this movie. There's not a soul on planet Earth who hasn't seen the first Ghostbusters.
I think probably one soul,
I mean,
right?
there's probably some people,
Like a
yeah,
newborn
like
baby, right? Like
a
probably a
newborn
lot of
baby,
quite a few
people
newborn
living
babies.
in a
A lot of Amish people, probably
third
maybe
world countries,
someone living in like a cult type
or like
compound.
like one of those undiscovered islands or whatever.
Right, yeah,
Um, so those people probably haven't seen Ghostbusters, but we've
sure.
seen Ghostbusters. Anybody
We
watching this
did.
YouTube video has probably seen Ghostbusters,
Probably, maybe
which is
not
more where I
though.
was getting.
Yeah,
Probably though.
maybe not is the thing.
And it's so good.
It's great. It's all. I mean, it's Ghostbusters. Came out
I
the
mean,
same
they
year as
bust the
Dune,
ghost.
and it makes them feel good.
Something makes them feel good. I don't know what.
I think ghosting,
Ghosting makes them
bust,
feel bust.
bust. So,
It's
um,
good, and
it's good. It's a good movie. We watched it.
this is a bad intro, but stick with us. Before
Whatever,
we get
man.
into the discussion,
Watch the movie
before
again.
we before we get into the discussion, first off, go ahead and like this video. Hit subscribe on the
We have a
channel if
Patreon. It's $1. If you have $1,
they
right
said,
now,
please give us
check your
$1.
wallet. Right now, if you have at least $1 in cash in your wallet, uh, subscribe to our Patreon. I
Right,
mean, not with that,
right. It'll have to be on a
cash value.
card,
It would be
but
from your bank account. But if you have $1 in cash, presumably you have at least $1 in your bank account. Use
right.
that. to pay for our
Deposit
Patreon,
the cash.
or deposit your $1 in cash into
Right.
your bank account and use
Probably the
that.
best move. Who's using
I
cash these
honestly,
days?
yeah. So do that.
Also, go ahead and hit the share button. Today, I
Who are
think
we
we want
sending it
you
to?
to send this video to your dad's mistress.
Okay, that's
If your
good.
dad had an
That's
affair
good.
on your mother, go ahead and send this to the woman he had an affair with.
Hmm.
And if she doesn't
Or
know that you know, that's even better because she'll watch to
right,
the five. Just say watch to the 5 minute 30-second
yeah.
mark, and then she'll be
Or
like,
of
"Oh,
course
they
of
know."
course the other way around could be as well. Your mom, I don't know if there's a word for it, mistress, uh,
I think it's just called man.
cuckolder. I don't know.
No, I don't. I
Um,
don't think the other way around. I think we'll keep this
well,
just for mistresses.
I'm gonna say the other way around. I can say
Mm.
what I want. I'm also gonna say send this to someone you hate and tell them to watch to exactly this point at 5 minutes and 55 seconds. So if you want them to know you hate them. If not,
Send it to him
I guess
anyway.
don't.
And
I
this
mean,
isn't for
send it to them
you.
anyway.
It's
Yeah,
not for you.
this isn't about you. This is about it. They sent it to someone else as well. They know you also hate that person. I'm not gonna say who it is because obviously I don't know. I don't know them personally,
Right. I
but
do.
yeah, send this to
They
someone you
suck.
hate. Yeah,
Also, send
they're the
this
worst.
last one, and we'll get into the actual
Okay.
podcast.
Okay. Yeah.
Send this to your favorite celebrity. I want you to just DM this to
Mm,
them on Instagram.
that's good. Also, I'm gonna add on to that. Send it to your
Okay.
least
Yeah.
favorite celebrity as well. Just a quick one on there. Whoever
Also,
you're
I'm gonna
like
add
a
on to that.
celebrity you hate. Okay, go for it.
I'm gonna add on to that. Send it to just a
Yeah.
mid-level celebrity who you don't care about.
Mm, yeah.
And any mid-level or below celebrities, we'd love to have you on the podcast.
Right,
Like
absolutely.
if you,
Even if the people that sent you to this hate you, we'll have you on. Even if
yeah,
we hate
if you
you,
were
we'll
in
have
a
you on.
movie like 20 years ago as a backup character,
Right.
we'd love to have you on just for clout.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it
Or
is.
just to talk, just to
Yeah,
like we
just
don't
to
even just
watch.
talk
We'll
about you. We'll
watch the
just watch a
movie you were
movie.
in. Yeah,
Or
if you
not,
were
or we'll just
the
watch
little
an
baby who
unrelated
was
movie.
naked in Superman
Right.
78, who also played Lex
Who
Luthor in
then
that
came
fan
back
film.
as right. Wasn't he also
Um,
like a
he's probably a CW
someone
character
in
too.
somewhere or something? Who
Yeah.
cares? Stupid
Yeah, if
ass.
you were any of the actors who haven't worked since their property in Crisis on Infinite Earths on the CW, we would also love to
Sure,
talk with
sure.
you. Go ahead and send us a message. How do people send us message? I don't even know.
I
You'll
don't know.
find us somehow.
YouTube something. DM me on Instagram at
Yeah,
Savage
DM Savage
Comics.
Comics on Instagram. That's how you
Um,
get in touch with us. Or Barrett Digital on Instagram. That's me. It'll probably take me a while to get back, but
right.
yeah, busting makes us feel good.
It does. And while we're at it, just send this to anyone you think would enjoy it. Because
Oh, that's wholesome.
it's just a nice one. I mean, like if some odd chance someone is watching this and enjoying it, which is unlikely,
At
because how
this
could
point,
they?
yeah.
Right. I mean, come on.
This is like the
But
worst
if you're
start we've
watching
had
this and you're
ever.
enjoying this somehow 8 minutes into this nonsensical rambling, and you know someone else who's exactly like you that would also like this nonsensical rambling, where eventually we'll probably talk about Ghostbusters and how busting makes us feel good.
Which we've
Go
mentioned,
ahead.
we've sprinkled.
We've touched on it. I don't think we've delved into how good the busting makes us feel good.
Well, I mean, I think the specifics of that would
But
be.
send it to your friend. Send it to your best friend.
Oh,
Who,
send this to your best friend.
yeah, send it to yourself.
If you no
You know,
longer want them to be your best friend, go ahead and send this to them.
right. So,
So
Dalton,
busting.
let's talk about
Let's
busting
talk about
ghosts and
busting,
how
and let's
good it
talk about
makes
how
us
good it
feel.
makes us feel.
Because I
Right?
mean, it's pretty good. It's not
I.
bad.
It's not bad, dude.
It's certainly
I
not
I
bad.
I talked about this while you were fixing your cat
While I was
because it was
busting,
broken.
yeah. I
This
mean, it
movie
felt
is
good.
so good.
Mhm.
It's really odd.
It's weirdly, it's better than it should be. It's better than Ghostbusters should be,
I
definitely.
would almost say this is close to a perfect comedy.
Mm,
This is one of my
probably.
favorite comedy films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ghostbusters. It's talking go.
I
It's a
mean, it's
busting
talk.
ghost.
Well, bust. It's a bust. The
It's busting.
bust.
It's a sliming ghost.
There is a sliming
Definitely.
ghost. No. Like as far as comedies go, I haven't laughed this hard, this consistently in a while.
No, it's great.
It's so funny.
And I mean,
It's so
it's been
perfect.
how long has it been since you've seen? Because it's been a minute for me since I watched this movie.
A
I didn't
few
remember
years
much of
for
it.
sure. I
Yeah,
remembered a good bit of it.
I'd say it's probably been somewhere between 5 to 10 for me, probably.
Okay,
So a
I
while,
definitely saw it in my adult life.
right?
So fairly last like you said, 5 years or so. Probably a little
Sure.
more recent than that. I want to say I've
Yeah,
seen it since I
it's
got
been a
married, but that
minute,
doesn't seem right.
right?
Um, but
Either
I
way,
did remember
it's. I mean, I
most of
always
it.
remembered loving it. I don't remember loving it this much. But it's great. It's fantastic. It's. I mean,
And
like you said,
the
it's a near
humor's
perfect
perfect.
comedy. I mean,
Bill
Bill
Murray and
Murray
the
is Bill
nerds.
Murray. He's the perfect dynamic. Two nerds and a Bill Murray. It's all you need. It's great. It's
It's
awesome.
great, and they're all funny. Bill Murray gets
Yeah,
most of the credit because he's the funniest, but they're all funny
sure.
all
Because
the
he's Bill
time.
Murray.
Um,
But yeah, they're all
Harold
great.
Ramis is great. Dan
Harold Ramis,
Aykroyd is
rest in peace.
great.
Yep, Dan Aykroyd. Um,
Who's an
Ernie
actual crazy
Hudson.
person, but we'll get into that
Sure,
later.
probably. Will we?
The plot
Ernie
is
Hudson's there.
so
He's cool. He's
unique.
got a mustache.
He does have a mustache. He's Billy D. Williams, but a few years late.
Right, and buffer.
Right. There's the plot of this movie
It
is
has a plot,
goofy
yeah.
and it's silly, but it's perfect.
It's nonsense, but it's exactly what the plot to Ghostbusters should be.
It's this it's basically somebody had the idea. They were like, okay, what if we made a funny comedy movie about exterminators, but
Mhm.
instead of exterminating
But what are
bugs,
they exterminating? It's
ghosts.
ghosts.
And
They're
it's like
ghosts.
it's so
Little
wild and it's
gremlin
so out
ghosts.
there. Number
It
one,
shouldn't work.
when
It's
you
stupid. It's nonsense, but it's great. It's
and when you
awesome.
go into this movie, it takes itself so seriously that it's automatically funny,
Oh yeah. No,
which I
it
think is the
starts out
reason that
very like
go ahead.
straight and legitimate, but
I think that's the reason none of the sequels work. I think the reason none of the movies that followed this work, and we're going to talk about Ghostbusters 2 next week,
sure.
which I do like, but I understand it's bad. Like, it's not very good. The
Yeah, no,
reason none
I
of
don't
them
think I've
work
seen that one, but
is because this is the half of the humor in this movie comes from the fact that it's such a ridiculous idea and they're taking it
it's
seriously.
played so straight. Yeah.
And the rest of the movies are just like, yeah, but it's like,
It's just
oh, they're the
wacky, stupid
Ghostbusters, and it's
Ghostbusters,
like,
yeah.
no. We got the perfect movie. Leave it.
Right.
And so, all right, let's start with the plot.
Okay,
You got the
so it's yeah, so it starts out um well it starts out there's a ghost in a library. And then Bill Murray is electrocuting unsuspecting college students who just want $5 while also perving on a young college student much younger than him while he is a college professor.
which
Classic
happens.
80s, you know. I mean, it
It's
was the
the 80s.
80s, you know. I
It's
mean,
the
come
80s
on.
for sure.
But so Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, and Dan Aykroyd are all professors at this university and also ghost hunters. They
They're
investigate
they
ghost stuff. They're
they're
ghost nerds. They're into
it,
ghosts.
well,
They're
their
nerds. They're into
level of
ghosts. They
expertise is supernatural stuff. So like Bill Murray is specifically
it's like psychic
psychics
shit.
and that
Yeah,
kind of thing. He's a
because he's
doctor
doing
in
like
that.
psychic electric therapy
Um, it seems like
experiments.
Harold
Yeah,
Ramis and Dan Aykroyd are both paranormal investigators, but
right.
they're not investigating it. They're teaching it. Like they're getting to study it. That's the
Right,
college funds them to
but then
study
they're
it.
also like on the side they're doing
Well, they're trying to
little
prove
hustle, and
it
then
because
that's
at
why
this
they
point
get
there's no proof in ghosts, so they want to prove that
right.
ghosts are real.
Well, but then that's why they get fired because they're they're using the school funds to fucking investigate ghosts and shit.
Right, because they're bad at their
And they're like,
jobs.
hey, stop! This money's
Hey,
for
Bill
teaching,
Murray, you're a
not
rapist.
right.
We'll get into it.
Probably not, but so yeah, so
No,
they
we
get
will.
fired.
We will. Just wait till Sigourney Weaver and him
Sure,
going after the
right,
kids
right. We will get to it. So, that Bill Murray and the gang, Bill Murray and the nerds get fired for being ghost nerds.
for busting.
Well, it made them feel good, so who can blame them?
Right, right. I mean,
But
that's really the ultimate test, is if something makes you feel good,
right,
keep doing it.
so then they're like, all right, what if let's just make ghost investigating. That's our job. We'll do that. Uh, and then they get a fucking dirty, disgusting old firehouse station. And then
Oh,
it
we're
looks.
just going there, yeah.
I mean, it's space. It's
It's pretty
like what
quick.
else
Yeah,
is?
no,
It's pretty quick.
there's a
I
funny line,
mean, we introduce Sigourney
where
Weaver before then. Maybe she's
no,
like in her
I don't think
apartment.
so. But there's
I think
you
she's.
missed the funny
What I
line where
miss?
Bill Murray says, he
I miss
says,
them day drinking
everybody's
in the
got
in the.
they're day drinking, and then drunkenly Harold Ramis takes out a reverse mortgage on his house, and Bill Murray said,
Right,
"No, it's
right.
okay. Everybody's got 3 mortgages these days." And then what's his
Uh,
face? Harold Ramis. He goes, "Just so you know, this is going to be about $95,000 in the first year." And it's like, oh, that's good. That's good. Moving on.
uh, so yeah, so they take all their money, get all the money they can, invest it into making this ghost busting business and buying this dirty old station house
And a
that
hearse.
and also a hearse, yes, and hiring a secretary lady.
Who talks like
They
that?
hire the secretary lady.
What's the line she says? Yeah,
Yes,
yes, it's the
they'll be very
Ghostbusters.
discreet.
Yes, busting makes us feel good.
Yes, they'll be very discreet. But yeah, so that happens. They get that. They were not, in fact, very discreet. But yeah, they get the shit house. It then magically kind of looks good after that, and then
Oh, they clean it up.
yeah, sure. But then they go out, they bust some stuff. Sigourney Weaver
Well, we
comes
keep
in.
seeing Sigourney Weaver. Her eggs explode.
Yeah, she sees them on TV. Rick Moranis is Elijah Wood from Wilfred.
Nobody has seen Wilfred except for
It's,
us.
someone's seen. If they're watching our podcast, they've seen Wilfred. Come on, man. We're
Nah.
the same. We're the
Comment down
same
below
level of
if
me.
you've seen
Comment if you've
Wilfred.
seen.
Comment
If
if you
you've
haven't.
watched 17 minutes of this, which no one has.
Just
We've
say
seen
I
the
vote Dalton
analytics.
or I vote Daniel.
Which
And
is
then
which? Which
you
was
are
I?
you are have seen Wilfred. I haven't seen
Oh, okay,
Wilfred.
I'm the good one. Cool.
Evil Daniel be like,
Yo, evil. Who the fuck is evil LeBron?
um, yeah. So Sigourney Weaver, she like brings home her groceries. She sets her eggs
Brings
on the
home the
counter.
groceries, the eggs cook from the thing,
It's
and
one
then
of the
she
coolest
opens
effects I've
up
ever seen.
it.
I
No,
have no idea how they
it's
did it.
genuinely awesome. The eggs like just cook on the thing out of the egg
Yep.
carton. That's the
Carton.
word. Fuck. Yeah. So then she opens up the fridge and it says, "I am Zool." And
She wants the mango.
well, yeah. I mean, it got discontinued. The mango Zool pod. So then I guess then she goes to the Ghostbusters and she's like, "Hey,
Well, she calls them because
my
well, she goes to
my
the business.
fridge
She
had a
doesn't even call them.
right." She's like, "Hey, my fridge had a fucking like floating castle, and it said I'm Zool."
But at this point, like they keep setting up this idea. They don't have any business. They're losing all their
Hmm.
money.
And
They're sitting in
no,
there eating.
she was. I think she was effectively their first client,
She
but then they
was,
just,
and their only client.
well, yeah, at the time,
Because they sunk
but
all of this. And this is the part of this that I didn't like as much until this
mm,
watch through. I
okay,
love this, just like schlubby guys don't know what they're
mm,
doing, sunk their money into this business,
right,
and now they're getting no customers. Like they don't know what
yeah,
like they're out of luck. And like that's kind of my
right. They
favorite
don't know what
part
they're
of this.
doing. They're just waffling.
It's a great, I don't want to call it a commentary because it's not really a commentary, but it's just a great picture of what working in America is like.
Right.
Like you get hired for this job. Ernie Hudson even like he portrays this later on, and I think that's what the
Mm,
movie was supposed to be about. I think
sure, sure.
from like an actual like this movie's about something perspective,
Right.
other than busting and how good it makes them feel.
Which I mean, it's pretty good from what I've heard.
Like it's like what it's like to work in America. Oh, well, you go out on a limb and you start your own business, but you don't
Right.
get
Well,
any
yeah. No,
customers.
the scene, fucking Harold Ramis, I think, is like to Ernie Hudson. He's like, "Do you believe in psychics, supernaturals, ghosts, specters, whatever. I'll listen to a bunch of nonsense. He's like,
Or the
hey,
theory of
if you're
Atlantis.
right, the theory of Atlantis, the Illuminati, whatever, Bermuda Triangle. He's like, I'll believe if you're paying, I'll believe whatever in whatever.
Yeah, if there's a steady paycheck involved, I'll believe anything.
Right.
But yeah, and it's like this. They literally do. They get fired from their jobs. So they're like, all right, cool. We're gonna invest $400,000 into this business. We're all gonna take out reverse loans on our house. We're gonna do. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be profitable. We saw a ghost. We know this thing is real. And then it cuts forward a few weeks, and they're like, okay, we don't have any customers. Like, we're out of luck. We're eating Chinese food, and it's our last dinner.
Right.
And I
But
love
then
that.
Sigourney Weaver
shows up, and they got real lucky.
Yeah, but then they don't really believe her, or they're kind of
no, which is so weird.
like, I mean, they kind of like they're kind of looking into it, but also when Bill Murray goes to investigate, he's just like weirdly flirting with her and also dismissing all her ghost stuff and calling her crazy.
I mean, he's dismissing everything. He's like,
right.
yeah, make sure your eggs.
He's like, these eggs that are clearly cooked on the counter. Yeah, sure, they just cooked on the counter. Okay,
weirder that he's flirting with her.
Right, this woman that he thinks is insane, but actually now I get it. I mean, we all been there. Come on now.
But yeah, so he just flirts with her instead of actually doing her job. She basically kicks him out, but then he's like real smooth with it, and he's like,
right, he's smooth, but also right.
And she's like, okay, just come back whenever you have my results or whatever. You're working on my case. So he leaves and he goes to whatever. And
yada,
this
yada,
is
yada,
where the
ghosting makes him feel good.
Well, and this is where the plot really kind of kicks off, because after this moment, they get a call.
This is
the library. This is the library.
No. The library? No, that was
about the middle. We're about the middle.
No, the library was before they started.
No, not the library, the hotel. I'm sorry.
Hotel. Yes,
yeah. The hotel. So they get a call from a hotel that's haunted, and they go in, and it's
like
it's
the 12th floor. It's notoriously haunted. It's the classic, the Slimer. Bill Murray gets slimed on.
Right.
It's great. It's just a
great.
fun little romp.
It shows off all the gadgets, the whatever they're called.
Yes, they're very discreet.
Yeah, that's
they're
the
not
line.
discreet. They destroy everything.
Yes, they're very discreet. And then he walks in and he's like, Bill Murray walks in. He's like, I heard you have a ghost. And it's
it's great. It's awesome.
Okay, and this is another thing with the comedy of this movie I want to talk about. That timing of that is so perfect, and it's not a hard cut, because that's what they would have done. That's what they would have done in 2016 Ghostbusters. They would have said, "Yes, they're very discreet, hard cuts." I heard you got a ghost. It would have been like, whatever. But
it's just like them rolling up to the hotel. Yada, yada.
They all hop in the car. The car drives to the hotel. They get out of the car. They walk in the door, and then he says the funny.
Yeah,
they allowed us to be smart enough to remember the joke.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we talked about this when we were watching it, and neither of us can remember the last time, or neither of us can remember the most recent comedy movie that we liked.
Yeah.
Because comedy really has gone...
I mean, I can't even remember the last, most recent comedy movie I saw, like release-wise.
Sure. Well, they're not making them anymore.
Yeah. I'm sure they are. I'm
and
not watching them.
That's telling, right? You know, it's pretty telling that they're not making these movies anymore.
I mean, to be fair, they don't make them like this anymore.
Right. Well, they don't.
I asked because I'm not sure.
Does anybody make real comedy anymore?
No.
And people they've got their
except for Always Sunny in Philadelphia, they still make real comedy.
Wokeness is what ruined comedy movies. Movies aren't funny anymore because movies are woke. You're an idiot if that's your stance.
No, it's because they're not funny.
It's because they're just not funny. There's no this movie. This movie's not woke. This movie's not woke. There's some pretty not woke scenes. We'll get there.
It's still the
80s. But that's not what makes this movie funny.
No.
What makes this movie funny is the chemistry of the cast. It's a perfect...
Everything funny in this movie could easily fly today and be acceptable.
I will also say this movie's a mistake. This movie didn't happen on purpose. This movie happened on accident. This movie should have failed, but it didn't. It worked. because
This
the
movie,
cast worked.
this movie could not be recreated, and
No,
that's
absolutely not.
evident by
Here's the
every
thing.
attempt.
You make this movie today without the talent that's in it, straight
Hmm.
to Tubi. No one ever sees it. No one
Right,
ever talks about
right.
it. We make fun of it as episode 4 of this week on the
Sure,
podcast.
sure.
But instead, it was
Instead, busting
perfect.
made us feel good,
And so they're in this hotel and they're
right?
trying to bust
And
the
they are
ghost.
not discreet
And it's
whatsoever.
Slimer, and Slimer has become kind
They
of an icon of the
Slimer's the
series.
classic. He's the iconic Ghostbuster ghost that you think of.
Right. They had
He's
he was
the
on the ecto coolers back in the
Slimer.
day.
He's the Slimer. He's
I don't think
um
Slimer was in 2016, but I think he's been in every other
he
Ghostbusters
probably
movie.
was.
He probably was.
We'll
We'll
find
find out.
out.
I know
Um
Slimer got his name from the Ghostbusters cartoon in which he was a
mm,
main character. In fact,
really.
the last season of the Ghostbusters cartoon was literally called Slimer and the Ghostbusters
Wow.
because he was
That's great.
such a popular
That's
character with little
cracks. He just
children.
took over the show. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they're at the hotel and they suck. Like
Oh, they're
they're terrible.
horrible.
They're
They're
not good
so
at
bad.
busting ghosts. They
Which once
clearly
again,
had no
great.
practice, but it's great. It's awesome. They're just like, of course they're bad at this. Why would they be good at this? Who would be good at busting ghosts? It's
It's their first time.
nonsense.
It's their first
Yeah,
ghost bust.
right. Um, but eventually they get him. They chase it around into a ballroom, destroy the ballroom. It's all fucked up. They just wreck it. It's a mess.
Oh, dude, they tear this ballroom up,
But
Louis.
then they get it. I think this is when Harold Ramis says, "Don't
Don't
cross the
cross the streams.
streams," because they
Don't
all shoot their
pee
thing.
across.
Don't cross your stream. If you're sword fighting with your homie, don't cross the streams because
You
then it's
can.
gay. Otherwise, well, I mean, you can, of course. I'm
How
not
do you
saying you
not
can't.
cross streams if you're sword fighting?
I
Yeah,
digress.
clink, clink, clink. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, the streams themselves aren't crossing. It's just your penis. So,
then what's the stream, bruh?
well, the stream, like the actual stream hitting each other, Because in this, like, they could actually like,
Are you talking about
in,
peeing?
yes, urine.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
piss
I thought
stream,
right. Yeah, I get it now.
sword
I get
fighting
it.
with your home.
I get it.
So, look, I'm following your thread here. So yeah, he says don't cross the
Threat?
streams, don't
I
cross
don't
the
so.
threads. They lock in and get the Slimer, and then bust him into the box.
Because busting
Uh,
makes them feel good.
it makes him feel good. So they tell the little hotel manager, he's like, all right, this is gonna be $5,000. He's like, fuck no, I'm not giving you that money. They're like, all right, well, we'll just let
We'll
it
just let
go.
him back in.
Well, yeah, we'll just put it back. That's okay.
And then
So
he's
they
like,
hustle
yeah,
him. They get the
fine,
money.
fine,
They get
fine,
the
fine.
money.
And
And then
then the movie
they're
turns into a
locked in. Then we
montage for a
get a
minute.
montage of them just being
Another thing
successful in
movies
busting
haven't done
ghosts,
good
which is
in years is a good montage, dude. I
right.
miss montages.
Yeah, classic montage. Just to just summarize. Like, we don't need to see all these bustings. We can just montage it.
Yeah, no, like
Like, we get it. It
what
makes them
was the
feel good.
I don't think
Boom.
there's a single MCU movie with a montage.
Nah, they don't got the grit. You know
Except for
what I'm
maybe
saying?
Guardians of the Galaxy has a montage.
At least one of them, surely.
We need we need more montages in Hollywood.
Yeah,
That's
bring
what
back
Hollywood's missing.
montages.
Hollywood's
Yeah,
missing montages. I want to say
right.
Godzilla
That's the
X
problem.
Kong had a montage.
I don't know. I haven't seen it, but
Maybe it didn't.
you
I
should
saw
know.
it
You
last
just
night.
recently saw it. Yeah.
Uh,
But who's to say?
I don't think it had a Maybe it had a montage.
Who's to
Yeah,
say?
it did have a
Really?
montage. Okay, the opening
Okay,
sequence
good.
was a montage.
Oh, it opens with a montage.
It opens with a montage, monster
Nice.
montage.
Like Godzilla, whatever the last one we watched for the podcast was. Final Wars, I think. That one opened with a montage.
It was very similar to that. Anyway,
The dick
back to
eating.
this movie.
So Ghostbusters montage. Yeah. So they bust all the ghosts. They're
the
good
man
at it.
who's
It's
running
just
in
them
New
getting
York is
good.
not in this, so I guess he's in Ghostbusters 2, the running ghost.
Sure.
He's the only ghost I remember from these movies other than Slimer. Is just this ghost who's going for a jog in like Central
Just
Park,
running.
scared of him.
Right.
It's kind of
Yeah.
funny. It's kind of funky.
He sounds chill, but I remember the skeleton zombie taxi driver.
Right? He was
I
quirky.
remember that one. He was chill.
Like him.
So
I
yeah,
like
so they
him.
just they bust some ghosts, and then
Busting is they're feeling good.
they're feeling good. I think after the montage is when we introduce the like environmental nerd guy
Yeah.
who's like
He
it's like
comes in.
your ghost containment unit, it's gonna mess up the environment. I gotta shut you down and we'll release all the ghosts. Um, and then stuff happens, and then eventually they release all the ghosts. I don't fucking know.
Well, yeah. So he comes in and he threatens Bill Murray, and Bill Murray's like, "All right, yeah, no, come back when you actually have some evidence of what
Right,
you're talking about."
and then he gets it, I guess.
Yeah, he does later. This is when we jump
Mm,
to the main plot. I was going to call it the B plot, but the
right.
main plot of the movie, which
No,
is
that was the B plot.
right.
Then I
We
guess
were
yes, Sigourney Weaver gets Zooled, I guess.
yeah. Well, the statues on the top of the building, the cartoon
Right.
building,
Yes. The
start to
cartoon
break.
building. They come the gargoyles entombed in stone come to life. Yes. Um.
Um, and that's
Then
just that.
at some point Sigourney Weaver opens her fridge and it's or no
Well, that's the
she's
beginning
sit
of
she's
the film, I
no no
think.
no it's what but when she gets zooled, I mean, because it's when she's sitting in her chair and there's like there's the cool weird effect on the wall, like the hands coming
Mm,
through, and
hmm hmm
then that just like opens into a door, and the hands come out of her chair and trap her and just drag her into the portal thing.
Right. She gets dragged into
Uh,
the kitchen because her kitchen is possessed. So she
yes,
gets pulled into
yes,
the
yes, yes,
kitchen
yes. It was the
while
kitchen
Harold Ramis is
wall
throwing a
door,
party.
not Harold Ramis. Rick Moranis is
Rick
throwing the
Moranis
party
is
with
throwing a
he
party.
he's an
Same
accountant.
person.
Sure, one of them
He's a
is
tax guy.
alive. Yeah,
Um
he's like an accountant it's true. What are you looking at me like that for? Uh, so he's like, yeah, so he's got like all his like accountant clients over.
and he
Because he
even
doesn't have
says
any
something
friends.
like,
He's just
I did this with clients because I could count it as an expense or whatever.
right.
That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah,
Buying
he's
your
cracked. He's
groceries on
great.
the company's dime is pretty hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets possessed by
He
the
so
gate. No, the key master.
Sigourney Weaver gets possessed by the gatekeeper.
Right,
Rick Moranis is the key master, and he's
right.
just like a fucking idiot.
And
He's
the plot from
just
here on
dumb.
out is they're
Oh,
supposed
at
to
some
bone so that
point,
Zool can come in.
yes. At some point, Harold Ramis figures out that the building was architecturally designed to act as a portal to summon
They find that out
this
in
Zool.
prison.
Right. That is when they get arrested after the nerd guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so they find that one out in jail. Before that,
Because they just have blueprints of this
right.
this building when they're in
So
prison.
they
Yeah.
get possessed, and this is when Bill Murray comes over for their date.
Yeah.
Because he set up a date. He met her outside of her thing, and he's like, "Hey, I've got some information. Let's go on a date Thursday." So
Right.
that
Brought
you
some
were out of the room for
Thorazine,
that.
some roses. He was ready for his
He
date.
brought some roses, and she's acting all crazy because she's possessed.
Mm.
She's like floating. She's saying, "I am Zola," and this is we said this when we were watching it. The most honest depiction of a man put in this same situation ever.
Yeah. No, genuinely.
And that's another thing that just sells this movie is moments like this that
It's
are
just
great
real. It's
examples of
honest. You
realism.
know.
Yeah, I mean it's he's just a working schlub. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? He's just a working schlub in
He's
New
just a
York.
guy. He's just a dude. You
And this
know.
woman's like, "Hey, do you want my body?" And
This
he's
with this
like,
Sigourney Weaver is like,
in her
hey,
prime.
do you want to? Sigourney Weaver in her prime, in her peak, is like, hey, do you schlub Bill Murray want to have sex with me? He's like,
And he's
geez, you're possessed by a demon. Fuck, but you're Sigourney Weaver. Jeez, dude.
and he says something along the lines of like, it's like, I can't, but maybe. No, I can't, but
Right,
maybe.
but I could.
He
No,
pops a
it's great.
JK unless.
Yeah,
And
he
it's
was ahead of
like,
his time, really.
and it really is like, it's a great scene. It's a little uncomfortable,
A little bit, but
but
you
she
know,
wasn't under the influence. I guess she was under the influence of a
I
demon.
think you could probably classify that as under the influence, if not more so.
Right. I mean, if you were just a person
She
there,
was
she's
possessed. Technically
crazy.
speaking, she was not. Well, if you don't believe in all the demon nonsense and don't know what's happening, she's just a
She's just
crazy lady,
mentally ill.
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, stay away.
And then it's probably still, yeah, it's still, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
So that happens.
So anyway, so they get a call. The gatekeeper has been arrested and shows up at the Ghostbusters like place, and that's when the secretary lady's like,
No,
"You
the key
picking up or you
masters.
dropping
So Gorman
off?"
Weaver's the gate.
Right.
No,
I'm
so
sorry.
yeah,
The
you
key
picking up or
master.
you dropping off,
You picking up or dropping off?
which is hard. It's a
It's
bar.
a bar. And the cop drops off Rick Moranis, who is
Yeah, he's in a straight
he's the keymaster.
jacket.
He's in a straitjacket. He's acting all crazy. He's just running around. He is the highlight of the
And
movie
then
from here on
yeah,
out.
then for the next like 20-30 minutes, he's just like hanging around the lab with them. He's just
And
he's
I
just kicking
always
it. Just
thought, once again, because I saw
like
this
they
movie a
do
lot as a
some they
kid.
do the lie detector thing with the big brain scan thing on him. They
Yeah,
do
and his
that.
brain is the weird demon dog.
Yeah.
But no, I always thought when I saw this movie as a kid that he was the most annoying part of this movie. I was always like, God,
Really.
he's so annoying. I can't wait for them to
I
bust
always
some more
like
ghosts,
I always
whatever.
liked Rick Moranis.
See, I didn't. When I watched this movie
He's
as a kid,
a funky little
all of
guy.
the stuff with him was like my least favorite stuff. Now it's some
Mhm.
of my favorite stuff. From here on out, he steals the whole show. But anyway,
Yeah, well, I think definitely him after he got possessed was much
for sure.
better.
Before he
Like
got possessed, he was whatever.
he
After
was
he
what he
gets
was. Yeah,
possessed,
just a little nerd,
he's
classic
like
'80s
there's one
nerd. He's
scene.
great. He's just like a stupid little puppy dog man. It's
Well,
awesome.
we'll get there in a second. So they
Well,
call.
I just meant the way he acts, but then he
I
does.
was
Yeah,
talking to
he does
myself,
get
so
dogged. Yeah.
I was talking to
What?
myself. So
I didn't hear
um,
what you said. I don't listen
it
to
doesn't
other
matter.
people.
You'll have to hear back at the podcast.
Yeah,
Um,
cool. I'll do that.
so they call Bill Murray and they're like, "Hey,
Mm,
this Rick Moranis is here. He's been possessed by somebody called the Keymaster." And Bill
right,
Murray's like,
right.
"This is
He has a
crazy."
name. I don't remember what it was. It was something else like
Right.
Zool. It was like
Yeah.
Zental or some shit.
And Bill Murray's like, "Hey, this is crazy. You've got the Keymaster. I've got the Gatekeeper. It's
Right.
Sigourney Weaver. I drugged her with drugs that I brought on
Yeah.
our date."
Right.
Like,
Which,
and I
what are you doing, Bill Murray?
like that's what was the drug again? What was it?
Thorazine.
That's
He
not
was like,
something you
yeah,
just.
I drugged her up with about 70 cc's of Thorazine.
That's
Why
not
did you
something
have
you
that on a
just like
date?
bring on a date, and that's also not
No,
something
it's
you
okay.
just.
No, it's okay. I'm a scientist.
That's not something you just have in your house either.
Right.
So
No,
like,
it's okay. He's a scientist.
it wasn't like, oh, it was
No,
hers in her
no, it's
medicine
okay.
cabinet.
No, it's okay. He's a scientist. No, Dalton. He's a scientist.
He's a rapist,
Maybe, but he's also a scientist.
right? And it's fine. They wind up dating.
It's okay. He's a scientist.
They kiss at the end of the movie, so it's
They
fine.
kiss, they smooch. It's okay. It's fine. It's good.
But anyway, so Bill Murray comes. He leaves her there, and then
Sure.
comes
I
back to
guess.
Ghostbuster Mansion. When
Mhm.
the police show up with what was his name? Peck,
With
Dr.
and
Peck.
then Peck, yeah, environmental Peck nerd.
Environmental Peck, and they're like, "Hey, we're shutting off your machine that does
That is
Ghostbusting.
trapping these ghosts. Yeah.
We think you're liars. We think you're hallucinating people. We think you're behind the ghost, and we think
Mhm.
your machine is causing damage to the environment." So they shut it off.
Right.
All the ghosts escape, and it's a big deal.
And this is
The
this is all the ghosts. We get like a little mini montage of the
mini
ghosts just
montage.
kind
You
of
get the
wreaking
one
some
winged
shit.
ghost who's pretty sick.
Yeah,
And
he was
then the
fun.
taxi driver ghost is there. It's
Right.
a sick
There's
little
there's
montage.
another little Slimer looking one, but he's blue and he's like in the sewer or some shit. He's just
Right. Slimer's
squirming
back.
around. Slimer's back. He's got
He's eating hot dogs.
some dogs in his mouth.
He's eating
Spitting them
dogs.
out.
And
Then
the
something else
Ghostbusters get
happens.
arrested.
Yeah, they get arrested. They then they pull out the blueprints, figure out because I think before this point they had figured something out with Zool, like some lore. It was like, oh, it's
They
an
knew
ancient
that it was like an ancient
Sumerian
Sumerian
god, whatever,
Right.
that people worshipped and had a cult and yada yada yada
Well,
yada yada whatever.
they didn't establish the cult until this scene. They just knew.
I think they mentioned it, or it was
Okay.
like a So I don't know. They because the word they said regarding the cult they had said before, but I don't remember what it
And
was.
every Ghostbusters movie since, except for Ghostbusters 2016, will also be about the same Sumerian cult. Anyway, continue.
Right. Yeah. So then the mayor wants to see them, and
The like female horse.
Danny DeVito actually.
You know the mayor, Mare,
Right.
mayor.
I got it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just
I
making
got it. I
sure.
got it. Yeah. No, I got it. Yeah. No,
The
I get it.
mayor, little Danny
Right.
DeVito.
Yeah. Little Danny
Little
DeVito.
female.
He's. I guess he just like believes them or whatever.
Or
Kind of.
doesn't. Who cares?
He doesn't. It's whatever. But then eventually he does,
Well,
and the guy doesn't have a dick.
Bill Murray says, "Hey, look, if we're wrong, if we're wrong, you keep us in, you throw us back in jail, nothing happens,
Right.
whatever. If we're right, you're responsible for saving the lives of millions of voters." And the mayor's like,
Yeah, that was the bar.
"Yes,
He's
yeah."
like, okay, the people will vote for me.
And
I
the
like
Pope, or
this.
not the Pope, the
There we go.
priest looks over at him and he goes, "Yeah."
Right. Yeah.
It was good. It was a good little.
So then they go out and bust some ghosts.
They
It's
do. They
ghost
go to the
busting
roof
time. They
of the
go.
building.
They head up to the sometimes cool looking, sometimes cartoon looking building.
Talk to you at the building.
A little bit. We've mentioned it. It looks really cool when it's a full matte painting shot of the city
It
and that
looks cool.
building is just in
One
it.
scene.
There were a couple like full matte painting shots, I think, that it looked good, or if not good, at least cool. There were a couple, but most of the time it's horribly comped in. It looks like shit. There's a moth on my desk.
It doesn't look. It doesn't look good. Like I
No, it's bad.
and it's and
It
the worst
looks,
part
and
is
it's
it's
not
the
just
only
bad. It looks
effect in
like
the
a
movie.
cartoon.
It's the only effect in the movie where I'm like, okay, this really. I guess the dogs to an
Right. The
extent.
dog at times, but also at times the dog looks great.
Right.
So
This is the only effect in the
yeah.
movie where I'm like, okay, yeah, this no part of this holds up.
This one didn't hit.
This
This one
one,
might have been a miss.
right. No
This
part
one
of it
might
holds
not be
up.
Lisan Al Gaib.
It's far from Lisa and Al Gaib. In fact, I would say
Right.
it's maybe Kwisatz Haderach.
Do you see this moth just landed on my damn forearm? You see that shit, man?
No, it's a
Get
friend
your
now.
ass out of here. I
Um,
flicked him. Now he's on my computer.
maybe
Get the
Kwisatz
fuck out
Haderach.
of
You
here.
know what I'm saying? But probably
I
not
mean,
even that.
could be. Unlikely it would even
Voyeur.
be.
Anyway,
Probably not even Muad'Dib, but
right. Well,
I
definitely
mean, I
not
digress.
Muad'Dib.
I mean,
Um,
probably. So they go to the building. They bust the ghosts. Sigourney Weaver and Rick Moranis have sex,
big old
sexy
sex.
times. Then they both turn into dog
They do.
gargoyle
They both turn into
things.
dogs because once the gatekeeper and the keymaster, so gate plus key,
Sure.
once they make love, then the
Oh yeah.
gate is opened
Right. Because the
for
key
Gozer.
went
It's
in the
Gozer, right?
gate. The Gozer, the Gozerian. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
Gozer the
what
Gozerian, who
they're
is supposed
called.
to be
Yeah.
played by David
It's
Bowie
David
and looks
Bowie,
like
but it's
David
not David
Bowie.
Bowie. Yeah.
He comes through and he starts talking to him and he starts whatever and he's like, I'm Gozer the Go Captain.
I'm Gozer the Gozerian. I goes all over the
And it's
place.
all just blah 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 blah
And
blah.
then it's yabbity dabbity dabbity doobity. But they say okay, whatever you imagine will be what destroys you. And they're like, okay, guys, don't think of anything. And good old Dan Aykroyd, who dreamed about getting his dick sucked by a ghost, he thinks to the old silly Billy Marshmallow man. Yeah, what do you know? Big old Marshmallow man starts
Which is
fucking up the
interesting
city.
because you would
Is it?
think, and maybe this was the goal. Like you would think if you're gonna do that, you would picture a real life mascot. Like you would think if you're making this movie, you'd try to get some kind of brand deal.
Yeah,
Like for some like real like the Pillsbury Doughboy or like
sure.
Michelin Man, Captain Crunch, like whatever. You'd think you'd picture some kind of real life
Right.
mascot, but they don't. And it wound up being a great move. They invented a mascot for this movie, and it's become
I
like
mean,
the most iconic.
maybe they tried.
Maybe
Who
like maybe it
knows?
started as something like that.
as like the Pillsbury Doughboy or something. Yeah,
Right. I Michelin Man would be my guess because he looks a
yeah.
lot like the
It
Michelin
looks
Man.
much more like that. Yeah,
Um, but they didn't, and it wound up, like I said, being a great move for this
it's great. Yeah, no, it
franchise.
worked.
This film that should have never been turned into a franchise, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Sure,
Um, because he's been in every movie since, I think. Although I don't think he was in two. I
maybe.
think he came back in
Mm-hmm.
2016, and in the
Mm-hmm.
I know he came back in 2016. I think he also came back in the requel. But anyway,
Surely.
so after this, they cross the streams, and when they do cross the streams, they think they're gonna die, but instead of dying, they should be dead because this whole top of this building explodes with them
Yeah,
on
no,
it.
they shoot it at the portal. Giant explosion. Nuke from Oppenheimer happens.
It literally looks just like the nuke from Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
I know we make that joke a lot. This one does look like the nuke from Oppenheimer.
Kind of, not really though. It's
It looks as much
the
like a
most of
nuke.
any of the Nuke from Oppenheimer jokes we've made so far, but
Right.
not really.
Um,
So yeah, that happens. They
Stay
don't
Puft
die like
Marshmallow Man dies,
he should. He Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who's further away from the explosion than all these individual little
but
fleshy human
admittedly
beings.
bigger.
Bigger, sure, and also made of marshmallow, not human
And the
flesh.
bigger they are, the harder they fall.
The harder they get toasted like
The
marshmallows. Yeah, that's what
harder
they
they
say.
get turned into shaving cream
Well, the bigger they are, the harder they bust. That's what they say.
and turn into
And it
shaving
makes them
cream.
feel good. And they turn into shaving cream. Everyone is drenched in shaving cream except for
Except for
Bill
Bill
Murray, who
Murray.
has just he got him to go a little more subtle with his. He's got just like a tiny little bit on his head and
I
his
mean, he's got Bill
shoulders.
Murray cloud. Of course he did. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I mean, come on. So yeah, then
He Bill Murs all over the re.
she smooches Sigourney
He
Weaver.
does. He gets Sigourney Weaver. Roll
Ernie
credits. Movie's
Hudson
over.
loves this city.
This is the moment it clicked
Busty
in my
makes him feel
brain
good.
that this feels a lot like the 90s Ninja Turtle movie, the first one.
Right, right.
And it does throughout the whole thing. It's not just this scene,
Mhm.
but him going, "I love this city." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like, okay, turtles.
New York,
Yeah.
late 80s, early 90s." All
Right.
this is early to mid 80s.
This is like mid 80s. Yeah, it's
It's
the
yeah.
same
I
period.
mean, it feels good. New York in
Yeah.
'84. I would have loved to live in that city, man. Not
Right.
today, but then I would have loved to live in that
No.
city, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So that's
busted.
the
It made them feel
movie, and
good.
it's over and it's good and it's
It's great. It's
yeah.
probably one of the best movies we've ever watched on this podcast.
Oh, for sure.
And we've
Yeah.
seen some good stuff, especially recently.
Right.
Like we've been
For
watching some
sure, one of
stuff
the best
that
comedy movies.
it's one of the best comedy movies I think I've ever
Yeah.
seen. And I don't think I ever watched it for that as a kid or even up until this
Mhm.
watch. I was never like, "Oh, Ghostbusters, that's a great comedy." Because
I
it's always
mean,
been
it's kind of
like,
always how I've seen it. It's like a
I don't know, for me as a kid it was always like I thought it was a cool
right.
action.
It
They're
was like
like
a cool movie, but
superheroes.
also like it was like a silly cool movie. But
Yeah, I knew it
yeah,
was silly, but I never watched it as like a legitimate comedy. Like I want to
sure,
watch a
sure.
comedy, it's going to make me laugh. And that's what this movie is first and foremost. And I don't think I ever got that until probably this watch through.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've probably always gotten that, but I no, I get what you're saying. Like as a kid, you watch it more because it's like cool ghosts and cool monsters and gremlins and
And
stuff.
they've got a cool car and they've got a cool
Yeah, they've got a cool
building and
car.
they've
They've got
got
a
the
cool
big
base.
packs and
They're just their buddies hanging out, just busting ghosts. It's just yeah, but yeah, no, it's a funny
now
fucking movie,
admittedly
dude.
I
It's
grew up on the real Ghostbusters, the cartoon, more than I grew up on the movies. I saw Ghostbusters
sure
1 and 2 off and on as a kid, but the cartoon was where it was at. The like 90s, 80s cartoon. It was on demand. I could
okay,
stream episodes. And I loved it. I loved that cartoon, and it was much more focused around of course it was. It was a cartoon. It was like
right.
action ghost of the week. They're going to
Yeah,
defeat
it's
the
just
ghosts, they're going to win.
silly little yeah.
And
They
so
go
in
in the
my
base, then they slide down
little
the thing, and they did. But yeah,
my little tiny kid mind, those two things
mhm.
merged into one thing, but this is
Right,
not
right.
that. This is not
No,
franchise material.
no. This is a one-off '80s schlock comedy movie that worked because of pure luck and happenstance.
Right, exactly.
When it
And
shouldn't have, it did.
There's no other comedy movie from the 80s that they're trying to revive and turn into a franchise
Right.
because they know that wouldn't work. But with Ghostbusters, for whatever reason, they can't get that through their thick skulls. The
Yeah.
first of the new Ghostbusters movies is fine, but it's just nostalgia bait. The new one I haven't seen yet.
Right. I've
Ghostbusters
not seen either of the
2016,
new
I
ones.
actually think
2016
is
was
solid.
whatever. It was whatever.
Um,
I don't remember
I
much of
haven't
it, but
seen
it
it
was,
since I
we'll
was
watch it.
16. I
We'll
haven't seen
get
it since I was
there.
16, but I remember being like, "Oh, so this isn't
We'll get
as
there.
bad." But anyway, this movie, I said it earlier, I stand by it. This is
Hmm.
probably one of the closest movies to a perfect movie. Now, of course, no movie's ever going to be perfect. There's definitely things like there's some pacing things with it being as old as it is, and there's some dated
Well,
jokes and
sure,
references and
sure,
whatever.
sure. Bill
This
Murray's a
is
rapist, but whatever. It's,
right, but this is
you move
close to a
past it.
perfect comedy, and
It's damn near.
and it's good.
Damn tootin'
I mean,
near.
it's and there's not a ton to say about it. Like, well, we've talked for 50 minutes. I say that we've literally been
I
speaking.
guess there is a fair
Like,
bit to
there
say.
really
Yeah.
isn't. Like, there's not much to say about Ghostbusters because like it's been talked to death. It's been around for 30, 40 years, and it's good. Just it's 50? No,
Good.
40 years this year actually.
Yeah, yeah.
40 years this year. Like, if you haven't seen it in a while and it's one of those things that you're just like, yeah, Ghostbusters, whatever, go back and rewatch this movie. It's a good
Busting makes them
time.
feel good. They bust the ghosts. The ghost busts Dan Aykroyd. It's good.
It's true.
Check it out.
No, I would recommend this movie for sure. It sounds like you would recommend this movie as well. Dan,
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt.
do you think this movie holds up?
Yeah, for sure. I
Oh
mean,
no.
not maybe not in every way. Like we said, there's there's some dated creepy 80s Bill Murray's character as a whole.
Yeah, Bill
But
Murray's definitely a little creepy.
it's a little creepy and
I
rapey,
think
but it was
a lot of the special effects hold up, but definitely not all of them.
not all of them,
Across
but
the
for the
board,
most
though, I
part.
would say yes, for sure.
Yeah,
I think
overall, absolutely, this movie
if
holds up.
you're 13 and you've never seen this movie before,
Mm,
this movie is going to blow you away because you have never seen a movie like this ever.
right. Or
You
you have, maybe, I don't
you
know.
were like 4 when the first Marvel movie came out, and you've just grown up just
Right.
eating content instead of movies. Go watch Ghostbusters. Go watch a movie. It's good.
Wait, was someone who's
I don't. I
13
made up the math.
wasn't alive when the first MCU movie came out, I don't think.
That is true.
That's fucked
Hold
up.
on. Let me check.
Yeah, 2000, someone who would they would have been born.
16
Wait,
would be somebody who was born in 2008 is 16 currently.
right.
So if
So
you
yeah, so a 13-year-old would not have been
yeah, a
damn, bruh.
13-year-old would have been hold on. 2024 minus 13, they would have been born in 2011. They
Yeah,
would have been born around the time the first Avengers movie came out.
right.
But anyway, go watch Ghostbusters. You're gonna love it.
Check it
Everybody, go
out,
watch
dude.
Ghostbusters. It really is
On
good. It's
Tubi,
great.
maybe,
Don't
or
watch the new one.
Hulu. Yeah, check that
Watch the
out.
old
Watch
one.
Ghostbusters 2, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe
Or
we'll talk about that next
2016.
week.
Watch the cartoon. I don't know. Play the video
Maybe.
game.
Oh,
Do
do play the video
whatever.
game. We didn't talk about the video game. We'll save the video
No,
game for like
I never played
2016.
it.
We'll save it for like
Sure.
2016 when there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, I don't know. You can talk. I haven't played it. You can yap about that though.
All right.
We won't. You can though.
All right, Daniel, you want to close this out?
Nah.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out if you've got this far, check out the Patreon and go ahead and send this to whoever we said to send it to earlier. If you can remember, I sure can't.
Yeah, and if you're watching this at a point where all of the Ghostbusters episodes are up, there's a playlist of all of them. You can just check
Right?
out the
Yeah.
Ghostbusters playlist,
Binge
watch all of
those.
them. Yeah, binge
Or
it.
if you don't want to watch those,
We have other
watch
playlists.
one of our other ones. Yeah, just go hit the podcast
Hey, look,
playlist.
I
We
know,
got
I
one with all of
know.
them. Hit a shuffle. Just listen
It's
to
about
whatever
to
you
pop up
want.
on your screen, all these like recommended videos. There's going to be
Mhm.
like a bunch of them. Just look for our faces. Watch another one of
Yeah, if it
ours.
has our faces, it's good. If it doesn't, it's bad and it will
Even
probably
if you've
kill
seen it
you.
before, watch it again.
Yeah.
Watch it again. All right, we'll see you guys next time
Thanks for
on the very
watching.
next
And we've
episode.
been semi pro.